Hey guys, so I'm going to be talking about Raymond Carver's book, What We Talk About When We Talk About Love. Um, it's a collection of short stories published in the 70s, and it's basically what encapsulates Raymond Carver, the writer, his preconceptions, or his preoccupations and his themes. Um, Definitely his style. It's kind of, if anyone's ever been interested in reading Raymond Carver, this is his stuff. This is what it's like. Um, Short stories about lonely, desperate, broken, sad people, um, a lot of suburban or country folks who are down on their luck or having some kind of major epiphany, usually in a negative way of some sort, or deranged people, drunken husbands, abusive husbands, sad, lonely neighbors, motel managers or apartment managers, kind of just eavesdropping on people's lives. His stories are strange. They're written in a very minimalist style that is very bare bones. It's to the absolute minimum. It's so reliant on implication more than explicit talking about things. It comes off as a little odd, and his characters, uh, through his writing style, which is only the barest of motives are given, come off as a little strange. And his characters themselves tend to be a little strange in the things that they do and say. But you can tell it's motivated by their desire for love or their desire to fit in or their desire to belong or just simply to be comfortable with where they are. And most of his stories I've noticed during this book are about transit of one form or another, about people going out driving or a husband getting fed up with his family and leaving them, or a woman wanting her husband to leave and he's kind of been kicked out, so he's kind of in between living in the home he's always been in and living in somewhere else. That seems to be a big theme in Carver's writing is transit from one place to another, or from going from one state to another, or from one style of living into another. It's very good. Carver's a big influence on me. I also write, and his writing styles, as well as what he writes about, are big influences on me. I'm just going to talk about individual stories now. So, the first story is called Why Don't You Dance? And it's about a guy who has all of his stuff out in his front yard. He's getting rid of it, he's selling it off. It's implied that his wife has either left him or he's leaving his wife. So he's just trying to get rid of everything. And a young couple comes along and they're like, and they're just moving into an apartment together. And they're like, how much do you want for this? How much do you want for that? And he's just like, I'll take it, $40 for the TV or $50 for the bed. And it's kind of just a snapshot. A lot of his stories are snapshots of this moment. A lot of them are snapshots of moments and desperate people and desperate characters and desperate times. Usually very important or momentous occasions in these people's lives. Another story in here called The Calm. It's a very unusual story about a guy getting a haircut. An oral fight breaks out in the barber shop. And as the barber is finishing up, he kind of runs his fingers through the guy's hair, and it makes him feel calm, makes him feel somehow touched by this maternal instinct the barber has. And it also, it's revealed at the very end of the story that's kind of what inspires him to leave his own life. And another story called Mr. Coffee, Mr. Fix-It, about a guy reminiscing about his broken marriage and his kids who kind of just control him and his wife, and how his wife had another lover, and kind of how he didn't like him at first, but over time has kind of gained an understanding and appreciation for the guy and feels bad for making fun of him. Another story is called Tell the Women We're Going, which is one of the longest stories. And it's also, and it's about these two guys. They're just hanging out, having a good time. They're both, it starts off talking about when they were both young and single, living the bachelor life, and then it moves into when they get married and they have kids of their own. And it's about how they kind of get tired of just hanging around, with their wives and children, and just want to go out for some fun. Go drink some beers, be a little unfaithful. And at first, it seems like, they see these two girls, and at first it appears like they're just going to go, talk to them and hang out with them. It's not revealed to the very end of them that one of them merely wanted to have sex with them, and the other one actually picks up a rock and brains them. And that's how it ends, just with that. It doesn't tell you what happens after. It's just like, nope, it's revealed one of them is crazy, and that's how it ends. So it's very interesting. Very dark. More than anything, though, Carver's writing is sad. I don't know, and there's something really identifiable and universal about his characters and his stories. There's something very human. Even in the inhumane things that these characters sometimes say and do, there is a humanity to it. There is a humanity in what he's talking about. And the feelings being expressed between the lines, and giving you just the bare minimum to contextualize what's going on. You see, I think, your own situation, your own life in these stories. Another very short story, about only 4 pages in here, is called Popular Mechanics. I think it's probably the saddest one, and it's simply just about a guy who's like, I'm done. He walks out. So Much Water, So Close to Home is one of the most intriguing stories in the book. And it's about a woman who's talking about how her husband went on a fishing trip with his buddies. He comes back and she's become distant from him because of what she finds out about what happened. And what happened is him and his buddies discover the body of a dead girl where they went fishing. And rather than doing anything about it or calling the authorities or anything, they just simply decide to have their camp out while she's just in the river. This disturbs the woman so greatly that she more and more just recoils from him, and he doesn't understand it. He's thinking, why are you making such a big deal out of this? And it's very sad. It's a very dismal portrait of a marriage. It's a very, very heartbreaking, and you can really empathize with this woman and where she's coming from. You can really see kind of through Carver's writing, like, why she feels this way, without it being explicitly direct, until the very last line of this story, which is, to paraphrase, she was only 19, talking to her husband. It's very sad, very heartbreaking, but I also feel realistic. I feel like these stories could be true stories. These feel like, when I read these, they make me think of the people I was raised around, the country bumpkins in my life that my family are, and my step family were, and just the kind of, small town, simple folks these stories are about. Another story in here called The Bath. It's about a couple who are dealing with the fact that their young son got hit by a car and he's in the hospital, and it's about denial. It's about how they keep saying to themselves, well, if we do this and we carry on a certain way, everything will be fine, and he'll be fine, and he'll pull through. And it's an interesting snapshot, again, kind of a vignette about what we say to ourselves through grief, and how we process grief, and what we do to deny it to ourselves when we most want to believe everything will be alright, and kind of the superstitious nature of it, and the superstitious ways we have of dealing about things. Much like when I read Joan Didion's memoir, The Year of Magical Thinking, she talks about the same thing. She would do odd little superstitious little things because that was her way of coping. That was her way of going through the grieving process. Except in this case, the boy doesn't actually just die right then and there. He is just in intensive care.